This is audio test 1 for the meeting stream. Audio test 2 for the meeting stream.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ron,
Morning.
I feel like it's like story time with George DeRuse with that backdrop. It just looks so cozy, sitting there. I'm just waiting for like a Dr. Zeus story to be told to all of us.
no story here, Scott. I'm in my garage.
Good morning, colleagues. It's been 10 o'clock. Are we still waiting for someone, or we're all in, or we're all in? Okay. Good morning. I'd like to call our meeting to order. There's the Agricultural Rural Affairs Committee, Thursday, September 1st. So there's a chair statement, public hearing for OP and zoning item. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed comprehensive official plan and zoning bylaw amendment listed item 4.1, 4.4 on today's agenda. For the item just mentioned, only those who makes oral submissions today or written submissions before the amendments are adopted may appeal the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal if council does not adopt an amendment within 90 days of recipient of the application for zoning and 120 days for an official plan amendment. To submit a written comment on these amendments prior to their consideration by City Council on September 14, please email or call the committee or council coordinator. Thank you, folks. And we go through our agenda, but before we do, we'll ask our clerk staff to confirm our attendance. Callie? I'll start. I get Councillor Gower.
Here.
See here. Councillor DeRuse.
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Moffat.
Here.
Councillor Meehan.
Here.
Madam Vice Chair Kitts.
Here.
And I'm here. So thank you very much, folks. Declaration of interest. See none. Confirmation of minutes. Minute 33, meeting of June 29 of the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee. Is the minute confirmed?
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
Item number 1 is actually 4.1 is a zoning bylaw amendment, part of 3135 and 3191 Sarsfield Road, Cumberland Ward. So we have no presentation, no correspondent, and no delegation. Can we carry item number 1? 4.1, sorry.
Carried.
Carried.
Okay, item 4.2, zoning bylaw amendment, 60, and 6086 Frontier Road, also Cumberland Road. Also no presentation, no correspondent, and no delegation. This is another surplus, basically. So can we carry the item?
Carried.
Carried.
Thank you. Item 4.3, zoning bylaw amendment, part of 4900 Frank Kenny Road. And we have no presentation. We have the applicant with us, Sean Kenny, I believe. And if we can approve this item, I don't believe Sean needs to speak. Mr. Kenny, are you with us? Okay. Oh, okay. I see. Oh, Steve Kenny, sorry, instead of it's been written.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, I'm here.
So, if committee agree to approve this item, you don't need to speak. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so committee member, can we approve this item?
Carried.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Kenny.
Thank you. Chair.
Item 4.4 is a zoning bylaw amendment, part of 38-9 8th line and 7968 Marvelville Road, that's in Osgood Ward. So again, we have no presentation, no correspondent, and no delegations. Is this item carried?
Carried.
Thank you very much. Item number 4.5, and that's a development charge complaint for 3420 Baskins Beach Road. We have a staff, Terry Hunt, and we do have a presentation. And we have one delegation, Sandra Marsh. So we can hold item 4.5 for now, and we can continue with the agenda, and we'll come back to item 4.5 so staff can get ready for the presentation. Item 4.6 is Osgood Gardens Cedar Acre Municipal Drain, appointment of engineer. And that's no presentation, no delegation, no correspondent. The report recommendation that the Agricultural Rural Affairs Committee recommend council appoint McIntosh Perry Consulting Engineer Limited as the engineers of the record to prepare a report that addresses the subsequent disconnections to the Osgood Garden Cedar Acre Municipal Drain for council consideration prior to council approval or appointing the disconnection under subsection 65(4) of the Drainage Act. So this is simply to appoint the engineer.
Carried. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. We have an additional item. We have a motion moved by Councillor Kitts. So Councillor Kitts, you have a copy of the motion?
Yeah, I do. Did you want me to?
Yeah, maybe we can do it here with it now. So
It'll be the rules of suspension will have to be.
yes, so the rule procedures are subsequent to be considered the following motion in order to ensure that building permit fee in bars are assessed appropriately. So can we waive the rules?
Carried.
Okay, go ahead, Madam Vice Chair.
Sure. So just by way of quick introduction to add some context, I'm quite pleased to be bringing this forward. A few months ago, I received a series of email inquiries about the VARS water charge, which was a fee collected on new homes that were connecting to the VARS communal water system. And it had been established by the former regional municipality in 1994 to pay back costs incurred to construct the water plant, but the fee went up. The legislation or the regulation required the fee to go up every year based on compound interest. So in October 2021, the charge added up to $27,000 on a modest home, when a year earlier it would have, or 2 years prior, it would have been $20,000 for the same service connection. So my team reached out to City Archives, City Finance Department, poked around a little bit to find out how much money had been collected and how much longer it would be collected. And through their review, finance staff determined that the debt had been collected and recommended that the charge be stopped immediately. So whereas there was a fee established in the regulatory code of the former regional municipality of Ottawa Carleton in 1994 with the purpose of paying back over time a portion of the original debt incurred to construct the VARS water plant, and whereas each new building permit in the village of VARS using municipal water plant was to pay this fee until the allocated growth share of the debt was paid back, whereas there has been approximately 1.7 million in VARS water fees collected via permits from growth since the fee was put in place, and whereas the associated debt is now retired, therefore be it resolved that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend Council direct Building Code Services to end the requirement to collect the VARS water fee when issuing permits in the affected area.
So thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Before we go to question, is there staff on hand to answer any question or do you have a comment to make before we go to council on this item? Mr. Brown?
Yes, Mr. Chair, as Councillor Kitts advised, there was a significant amount of historical research that was done into this issue with help from legal services and building code services and finance, and it was indeed determined that the fee has done its job and paid back the debt, and it is most certainly time for it to be retired.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Councillor Meehan?
Thank you, Chair. I guess my question is, in poking around, I mean, do we know exactly when the debt was repaid? What year?
I believe by the end of 2021, it was repaid.
So there was just 1 year that homeowners were required to pay this fee? That after the debt was retired?
There's not a huge number of permits that are pulled in VARs every year. I'm not sure of how many permits, if any, were affected by being charged with this fee incorrectly, but that's certainly something staff can take back through building code services and finance services to determine whether there are people that are entitled to be refunded.
Okay, I guess, and my other concern, well, I guess it's a concern, it's just if Councillor Kitts hadn't done this work, I wonder how long this fee would have been in effect before someone noticed that the debt had been retired. So is there a bookkeeping, something that should be done bookkeeping wise, or, you know, when it comes to that, there should have been a red flag go up, this debt had been repaid when in fact it was.
I can say that I know the research had gone on for quite some time, so Councillor Kitts certainly prompted the research, but I think the councillor can attest it did. It's not something that just happened overnight. It was something that took a period of several months due to the complexity of the historical nature of the item. But I'm not aware of you know, again, how many permits, if any, were incorrectly assessed the fee.
No, I guess there should have been like somebody should have been notified that the debt had been retired. That's all I'm saying. Prior to having to explore it. So that's all I'm saying. Because if this hadn't happened, maybe it could have been years before. People would have been paying it unnecessarily for years had this not been done. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you, but I'm glad it's done.
Councillor Meehan and Councillor Kitts, you wish to wrap up?
Yeah, no, I think Councillor Meehan raises an excellent point, and I agree. I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't started, you know, poking around. So, Adam, do you know if there's any other sort of agreements like this? This is kind of unique, like the, you know, VAR's water system. Is there anything else like this in the city that we should sort of be looking into to see where we're at in terms of a debt repayment from a legacy regional municipality, or is this kind of unique and it's handled now?
So I'm certainly not an expert at citywide, but I do have some knowledge from a rural context. The other village I'm aware of that has a similar fee in place is the village of Carp. There is a special fee that is collected there. That is actually being looked at right now because there's going to be some expansion to the facilities in Carp and some improvements. So that fee is being actively looked at by our colleagues in infrastructure planning at this time. That's the only other one that I'm aware of, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chair, do you wish to wrap up on your motion, or we can just carry your motion?
No, I think I kind of said what I needed to say in my introduction, but yeah, I'm just very pleased that we kind of got to the bottom of it. And I want to thank staff because, as we said, there was a lot of sort of research required to get to where we got to. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. So on the motion, carried.
Carried.
Okay.
Thank you very much, both. So the health, we go back to the health item, is 4.5, is a development charge complaint. I thought it was going to be a presentation, but we have a staff, Terry Hunt, who can shed a little bit of history there if there's no presentation, but we need to, you know, to the benefit of the committee, to give us a little summary about this complaint. So Terry from the building code, so maybe we'll turn the floor to you. before we go to the public presentation.
Thank you, Councillor. We did have a look at this one back in 2021. One of our zoning or development information officers provided some information to a client. And then when the building permit was actually applied for, it turns out the development charges were no longer exempt as per the 1988 certificate. Garrett is with me here on a legal standpoint, so he might be able to speak to it a little bit more in that case, but the development charges were appropriately applied and imposed.
Garrett?
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to speak to it further a bit. This requires a little bit of context in terms of the history of the Development Charges Act. So the exemption letter that was attached to the complaint was a pre-Development Charges Act exemption letter. It was from 1988, and the new DC Act came into force in 1989, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly. So that exemption was for development lot levies, which was the predecessor to development charges. And the letter doesn't say that they actually paid a development lot levy. It just says that they're exempt from it. The legislation initially, the DC Act legislation in 1989 initially allowed exemptions to be carried forward or credits to be carried forward, but that was later amended, and under the current or the legislation as it was amended, it no longer allowed for credits from lot levies to be carried forward and applied against new development charges, unless you applied for a credit to be carried forward, and there was no evidence that that was done here. So even though this wasn't really a credit, it was just a full exemption. It appears there's still no evidence that it was treated as a credit, and in our opinion, this exemption letter from 1988 wouldn't require that the city exempt this property from development charges in 2022 or 2021. The bylaw also doesn't require previous exemptions from development lot levies to be carried forward to development charges.
Okay, so Khalid, we do have we have Ms. Marsh to as a delegation. Do you have some question for clarity? It can help us to put it in a contact, or you want to wait till we speak to hear from the presenter?
Yeah, we can wait. I was just going to ask questions that they're probably going to present, so that's fine.
Okay.
Wait for them to talk.
So what we can go to Sandra Marsh to. You have 5 minutes to explain to the committee.
Yes,
Please, go ahead.
I have a statement here. I'll go ahead. Hello, I'm Sandra Marsh, the owner of the 3420 Baskins Beach Road property. Most of my information is contained in document 1, which I assume you have. The facts are, I have a payment certificate and a letter stating that there are no development fees to be paid on this property. The city confirmed verbally and in an email dated February 26, 2021, and I quote, "These are exactly what you need to present at the time of the permit application for a home. They will exempt you from the city portion of the development charges." Acting in good faith on this statement from the city, I decided to proceed with the costs of house and septic plans, surveys, and other permits needed to obtain a building permit. Excuse me. When I applied for the building permit, I was shocked to be told I had been wrongfully advised by the city and that development charges were due in full. Since a substantial amount of money had already been spent to apply for the permit, the development fees were paid under protest. I don't know what else I could have done to confirm the exemption of the development fees. I have 2 official documents stating the property was exempt. along with both verbal and written confirmation from the City of Ottawa, which was given recently. Decisions were made and money spent based on their confirmation. How can anyone have confidence in the City of Ottawa if they do not stand up to their written commitments? Therefore, I respectfully request that the development charges I have paid be refunded. Thank you.
And before I go to my colleague, thank you, Sandra, Ms. Marsh. Can you tell us how much the amount was you paid?
Yes, 18,000 and
I can tell you.
my daughter is here to help me through this.
That's
I'm
fine.
the one who phoned the city to confirm this. So the city portion of the development charges is $18,953.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you both. And please stay because my colleague has some question for you. Councillor Moffat, please go ahead.
Thanks. It's not so much a question. It's just really just looking at the facts of the situation. And you have, like, I know the staff person well that advised you, and I work with them closely, and I think they're phenomenal. But I know that, there are times where everyone makes a slight error or whatever. They didn't get the right information that they shared. For the resident, for the property owner, there's really no reason to question that. There's no reason to second guess it and to go back and confirm it with someone else, to follow up even further, to say, can you look into this further? You've given me information, you give me a response that says I don't have to pay this because of what I've provided. So knowing that, any reasonable person would proceed as the Marshes did in this situation. So I think it's fairly well. I would just recommend that we change the recommendation to that we approve the development charge complaint, or we accept the development charge complaint. I would just move that right now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moffat. So any other question? Member Gower? Councillor
Yeah,
Gower.
I want to sort of clarify procedurally. I believe this is in front of us because city staff do not have the authority to refund this. It looks like there was a mistake made in notification. The authority to refund it comes from this committee or from council. Is that correct? That staff are just unable to unilaterally refund this. It needs to be a decision by committee. I see nodding head from Garrett. So.
And Chair, I could just jump into that. The Development Charges Act provides a mechanism to file a complaint against a charge that has been paid under protest. And if the staff don't have delegated authority to approve that complaint, it has to go to committee and council.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
The staff report doesn't address directly the email correspondence between the complainant and staff. I just, for due diligence for this committee, does staff dispute any of the correspondence or the information that's in document one? Is the document one information?
Sorry, Councillor, I think you cut off right at the end.
Oh, pardon me. Is the information in document one accurate? Is there anything in document one that staff would disagree with in terms of the information presented, specifically the correspondence between staff and the complainant in this case?
No, we don't contest that.
Okay, thank you. And I think Councillor Moffat's suggestion to committee is on the right track. Thank you, Chair.
Any other question from my colleagues? So we have a motion moved by Councillor Moffat. It read that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend that council accept the development charge complaint in respect of 3420 Baskins Beach Road. So basically we're changing from dismiss to accept. Is that correct, Councillor Moffat? That's your attention?
That is correct. Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, so on Councillor Moffat's motion, do we need A's and A's or we can just carry it?
Carried it. Yep.
Carried.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Sandra. We didn't get your daughter's name, but thank you both.
She's Christina and she's
Oh,
helping
she's
me.
Christine. She's the one who sent us. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you both, Christina
Well-
and Sandra, for your time today. Really
Well,
appreciate it.
thank you very much. We really appreciate this.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we go back. So we have no in-camera items to us and none for the open mic session, to my knowledge, as of today. Notes of motion for consideration of subsequent meeting, none today. Inquiries, do we have any inquiry? None. Other business? None. And our next meeting will be Thursday, September 29. Thank you very much, folks, and we are adjourned. So have a great day. We didn't break any records, Scott, but it was a good time today.
Very efficient. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you all.